Much to my absolute surprise and delight the other day, I was browsing around some news headlines on the internet, something I don't do a lot of in normal times, and even less now during what's going on in the world. I discovered a headline coming out of my own country that I had no idea about, and that was the fact that Canada and the Canadian Space Agency are going to be sending a mission to the moon. We are going to be sending a lunar rover up there. It's going to wander around and carry instruments and take readings, and it's going to be a truly Canadian space project. I think this is great. I've been an advocate of space exploration since I was a kid. It's always been something that I found intriguing and enthralling and in all intents and purposes, intoxicating. Space truly is the final frontier and it is the future. We need to explore space. We need to go places. We need to see what's out there for ourselves. And even though the moon is right next door, I think for Canada this is great. The mission expects to launch in the next, I think, 4 years. And just to read you here what I have off the headline is the Canadian Space Agency says the unmanned robotic vehicle will aim to gather imagery and measurements on the moon's cratered surface, showcasing technologies from Canadian companies in a polar region of the Earth's only natural satellite. Conducted in partnership with NASA, the mission hopes to have the rover make it through an entire lunar night, which lasts about 2 weeks, and presents major technological challenges due to the extreme cold and dark. Lisa Campbell, president of the space agency, says it will put out a request for proposals on design and development from 2 companies in the coming months. This is great stuff. It really is. And as much as I like having our partners around the world involved in our space projects, I think Canada truly needs to stand on its own and do stuff like this. And it's about time. Canada and Canadians in general, we've been pioneers in the outer space exploration and technology sectors, having put numerous satellites into space since the very beginning, starting with Alouette. That was one of our very own Canadian satellites that was ahead of its time. We have designed numerous pieces of technology, modules, and instruments aboard the ISS. The original Canadarm aboard the space shuttles, as well as the industrial-sized Canadarm that was built and placed on the International Space Station. Canadian scientists also had a very giant hand in helping the Apollo moon missions get there. We were responsible for a lot of the R&D on the Apollo program, being the Saturn V rockets and all the technology involved in them. What's next, you say? It's tough for a nation like ours because this is probably one of the first instances we're putting a lot more funding back into our own Canadian Space Agency as well as some of the programs. I would think that after sending a lunar mission, a rover if you will, that we should focus on maybe coming up with probes all our own and sending them out into space, maybe to certain planets in our own solar system, or one single probe to go about the solar system and out the other end, like Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 that was sent up by NASA many years ago and are still in operation. If not that, then perhaps our own mission to Mars. Or what I would suggest, and I've also read this recently, even the other day, is that maybe we should send some kind of orbiter to Venus and start charting that. Venus seems to be ignored as of late. I think there are some missions coming up from various nations in the world that want to go there, but I think Canada could take the lead on things like this. We definitely have the climate in this country to test a lot of these things before we send them out, so I don't see a problem there. I would say going forward that any future administrations or governments should be spending a lot more on space exploration in this country. Put as much funding as we possibly can. The problem with Canada and the way our governments work is we're all too happy to throw money at silly things that no one knows about, hears about, or even cares about, but when it comes to important stuff like space exploration, we'll just sit there and go, maybe. But for the time being, I'm going to remain happy in the fact that we have this lunar mission, that we are going to go to the moon, and I think it's great. I really do. I think we need to do more in space exploration, as I've mentioned And it's up to the powers that be in this country to fund it and to see that is indeed the future, and that we must continue to go to space, the final frontier, and explore it as best as we can. If not with the rest of the world in our own unique Canadian way, we should just do it. Put aside all this petty partisanship in this country, and let's explore space and see what's out there. Have a great day, everybody.